I'm sure you're going to ask me why I am showing you this badge. Well, this badge appeared at work today, and I have no idea where it comes from or what it is. Now, the symbologist in me would like to let you know of a few things. Firstly, you always read from the top down. So we have three different sort of parts to this this badge. The first one is a cross at the top, a cross being typically used as a Christian symbol. We have a dove, and the dove has, you can just see something in its mouth which looks like a branch. Doves are also used in Christian symbology, although in fact they do have meanings outside of the Christian circle. And below that symbol down there, I know, is a symbol that is usually used to mean peace. Now, firstly, it goes without saying that symbols in themselves have no meaning at all. The reason for this is because you can ascribe different meanings to the same symbol. So all you can get is an inferred meaning, that being by the person who used the symbol, because you can't really even go as far as to say, well, the oldest meaning is the truthful one. So I decided that I'd read this. My first reading went something along the lines of this. What you've got is a cross at the top there. If you were to use that to symbolise Christ, who died on a cross, you'll see that the bottom of the cross goes through the dove. In fact, you could say that the dove proceeds from the cross. That would be a characteristic of part of the Christian creed that says that the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son. I think we can say that that this is the Holy Spirit, or there are two pictures of a dove used in Christian circles. The first one is like this. The second one is actually of a dove that's pointing downwards, that's descending. This is known as a peace dove, and it's got an olive branch in its beak. That comes from, that's another biblical reference there, of the dove that Noah let out of the ark, that came back with foliage to prove to Noah that the flood waters were draining enough for plants to grow again. So we've got the Holy Spirit coming from the cross and bringing peace. Now, there is another possible meaning to this, but for these we have to exclude one of the sort of symbols within this structure. So, the first one, let's get rid of the dove. Okay, so pretend the dove isn't there, and what you have is you've got what's known as a peace cross, because you have a cross on top of the peace signature. You also, if you think about the markings on a map of a church, it's usually a little ball and cross. The circle down the bottom there, and the cross out could be symbolise, could be the motif of a church. You've also got the earth being a circle, so you could have, this could be Christ's reign over the earth through peace, something like that. Or even the Latin phrase et in terra pax hominibus, which means and on earth peace to all men. Mankind, really, it doesn't exclude women. Before somebody says I'm being politically incorrect here. Okay, now let's exclude let's exclude the cross and the dove and just focus on this symbol at the bottom. There are two conflicting stories about this symbol. The first one is, if you look in what's called Semaphore or something like that. It's basically a language that's used that a person would use flags, and flags, two flags in different positions, would spell out letters. Now, apparently, and I have checked, and this does seem to work out. What you have is a circle, and inside that circle are two symbols. The first one is the straight stalk, and the second one is the fork. And put together, those are the N and the D in this language, which wouldn't surprise me considering that this is usually used for political reasons, this symbol, and in England it's very, very closely connected to the campaign for nuclear disarmament. You'll notice nuclear, the N, and disarmament, the D. Those are the two letters that are spelled out in that middle bit there. Another more radical interpretation of this, which I came across and which I thought was quite interesting, was actually one of judgment and not of peace. If you remove the circle, first of all, I should say that different different shapes have different meanings in symbology, and a circle is usually considered as a sign of perfection, hence why when you get a halo, it's a circle around a person's head. It's a sign of perfection. And what you have is you've got this circle that's coming out of a cross. Now, supposing the symbol inside is actually not part of the circle, it's actually incarcerated within the circle. Okay. Then what you've got is you've got a rune there, upside down. It's actually an upside down cross. Sometimes that was used historically to oppose Christianity. Obviously, you have a cross, you have an upside down cross. You know, it's supposed to then say, well, it's the opposite of Christianity. In this case, of course, that's not too bad, because if you look, you've got the cross, you've got the circle coming out of the cross, and the upside down cross is completely captured within that. Therefore, this would be judgment, Christ's judgment over, or conquering over death, and the spirit, which you can see as the dove, would actually be, you'd have to think almost in 3D for this, would actually be a byproduct of this. You know, this is salvation, because Christ has conquered death. The cross has produced the circle of perfection, which has encapsulated death and evil and everything like that. It has then produced peace for all humankind that accept it. So the dove would actually be sort of hanging sort of in mid-air, so to speak, hovering like a dove does, in front of this sign. Now, like I said, all symbols are open to interpretation. Not one of those interpretation is wrong. I can only say that the most legitimate would fall to the person who created this thing, and I don't know where that person was. There's no identification on it at all, and it just appeared out of nowhere at work today on my trolley, waiting for me, and nobody seems to know where it's come from or what it is. So if it is a slogan that you actually recognise, if something uses this particular slogan, monograph which you know of, do let me know. If not, well, you've just wasted about 10 minutes of your life listening to me and having a crash course on Christian symbology, haven't you? How exciting.